and welcome back to my channel. If you like talking all things bookish with me, feel free to like and subscribe. Today I'm going to be going over my March TBR. Is it honestly probably too late in the month to be starting a TBR video? Yeah, it is. Have I already read many things? Yes, I have. Is this entirely way too ambitious for the rest of the month? Oh yeah, it is. I think I calculated it something like 10,500 pages.
I am that fool.
On average, for a full month, I probably read between 8,000 and 10,000 pages. Granted, about 1,000 pages of these are like graphic novel and manga type of stuff, but like, still, that's way too much. There's no way I'm going to get to everything. So I'm going to organize this by most likely to complete all the way down to like, we'll see if I get to it. So let's just get right into it.
Begin.
The first book that I'm definitely going to finish is Arm of the Sphinx. This is the second of the Senlin books, and I read the first one last month. It was okay. It didn't exactly get me where I wanted it to, but like, it had enough interesting things, and I really like his writing style a lot, so I will be starting this one today. Then I'm planning to finish out all of the currently released Spy X Family manga. I read the first two already, and I really enjoy them. These are so much fun. This is about a man who is a spy, and he has to take on this like undercover mission and go and meet this target, but the target is like super reclusive and really cautious, and he only comes out for like very exclusive events at his son's school. So they have to get into this really elite academy and then do super well so that they can go to the same events and end up meeting this guy. And to do so, he has to fabricate a fake family, and he ends up adopting a little girl who is a telepath, and she is just smitten with the fact that he's a spy. And then he marries a woman who is an assassin, and she needs this relationship because it'll be like a cover for her, because people are starting to get suspicious and she doesn't want anyone to know about her other job and her other life as an assassin. So everybody in the family has their own reason for being there, and everybody also has their own secrets that they're keeping, especially the little telepath girl, because like, she keeps getting returned to the orphanage whenever it comes out. But this series fully knows exactly what it is and just leans into the cheesy factor. It's a lot of fun, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to like make the joke work over an extended series, but so far I've been really pleasantly surprised by it. I also plan to reread Monstrous Volume 1. I really liked this when I read it. It is a gorgeously rendered, very brutal world, and the main character is super badass, and it's like kind of mysterious where she gets all of her powers from. And then there's like a ruling class and a lot of supernatural beings, and the way that these beings are treated, especially like the children who are easy to catch, it's rough, man, but oh, it's such an interesting story and so gorgeous. I did originally read it as an ebook format, and this is text heavy. This is so text heavy that it really feels more like a book sometimes. So this is the rare case for a graphic novel or manga type of series where I actually want to read the physical instead. But hopefully after I reread and get refreshed on it, then I'll be able to continue on and get caught up with the rest of the series this year. Then is Assassin's Quest, and this is a thick book. Like, this is one of those books where when you wake up in the middle of the night because you think that there's an intruder in your house and you think about grabbing for the baseball bat, but honestly this is more of a defensive weapon.
Hey!
This is what I would grab. It's like 880 pages long, and it is huge and it is heavy. My hands are going to hurt by the end of this one, but I really enjoy the series. We've been doing a read-along over on Gregory LePerch's Discord. We read the first one in January, just finished Royal Assassin in February, and now we're on to Assassin's Quest. And the series didn't exactly grab me from the front. It took maybe 75, maybe 50, but like probably more like 75% of the first book for me to be like, okay, I do like this, because it's so sad. It's just, I think that I can't remember a lot of it because my brain has like this defense mechanism where I don't want to think about those sad things, so I just already forget a ton of those details. And then when the action and the plot starts happening, that's what I'm tuned in for. So I was nervous about book 2, but I ended up really loving it just like from the beginning. It was fantastic, and I'm hoping the same will be true of book 3. Cat. Hi. I'm also continuing on in the First Law series with Before They Are Hanged. I read the first one last month, and it wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I'm also more of like a plot-driven, fast-paced type of reader, and this is a slow, character-driven read. I think that the first book is really more of a getting the band together type of book, and I'm hoping that now that we've established that, kind of like with the second book in the Farseer trilogy, I'll be able to really just get invested from the beginning, and hopefully things will just be like, go, 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 go. And then I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get to the Monarchs. This is the second, and I believe the finish, like I think it's supposed to be a duology for the Ravens. And this is like a sorority, and they're all witches. And they have like elemental magic. Everybody is powerful in one of the elements. I really quite liked the first one. It wasn't everything, but it kind of gave me the Initiation of Sarah vibes, which is a film that's so cheesy, and I absolutely love it. I watch it like every Halloween season. So I'm hoping that this one will be a lot of fun. I like that they're both very sisterhood, but also a little bit competitive and catty in that way. This isn't high literature, but it's fun, and I have both the audiobook and the physical book checked out from the library already. It's not that long, so I'm very confident I'll be able to finish off this series this month. Then I have Serpent Mage, and this just came out. It's got a dragon on the cover. It's one of those Tor novellas, and I honestly don't know anything else beyond that because especially with the novella format, I don't really want to know too much of the plot and spoil myself, but I've heard good things about it so far. It's super short, and I do love me some dragons. Then I'm planning to read Elantris, and this is actually pretty chunky. I was told not really to start here because it's one of Brandon Sanderson's first works, if not his first published work, so it kind of doesn't always hit with people, but I had already planned to read all of his works this year, aside from Stormlight Archive, which are just, they're so thick, they're gonna kill me. I'm just gonna die. But especially now with the release of his video, which I'm sure we're all aware of by this point, I definitely want to make sure that I stick to that plan and possibly even get to Stormlight Archive by the end of this year. Then there's Priory of the Orange Tree, and this is another book that is trying to kill me. What's with all these authors writing gigantic books? Like, why? Why? Why are all the books that I want to read so thick? And for this one, I know that it has a dragon on the cover again, though I think it's got a little bit less actual dragon content inside. It's supposed to be sapphic, and it does tend to be a little bit divisive with people. Like, mostly people don't seem to give it a 3 stars. They either didn't like it or really loved it, and I'm hoping I'm in the latter group, especially because that's a lot of time to devote to a book that you don't love. But it's just over 800 pages long, and hopefully I'll be able to get to it. I think my strategy with this one might be to tackle like a little chunk every day until I get it down to like a reasonable book size and then just continue on from there. But oh, she's intimidating. She's sitting on that shelf and just judging me daily. Next up is Mordu, and originally this one was a lot lower on the list, and then I was like, I should refresh myself on what this one's actually about, and I looked it up and like, oh my god, this just sounds like such a me book that I wanted to vault it to the top of the list immediately, but technically I checked out a lot of those books a lot earlier, so I have longer with this one, but I think this is going to be a hit. It just came out last year from Tor, and it's about, like, I think we're following with this boy from the slums, and there's something about living mud, but also then his mom sells him off to the Master of Mordu, and the Master of Mordu gets his magical powers by eating the corpse of God.
It is the flawed product of a deranged mind.
Yeah. In this city, I guess God was murdered, and so that's going to have a huge amount to do with the plot. It's a little over 500 pages long, and it's got like 100 pages or something. Like, it's a huge chunk of just glossary and extra stuff after the book is done. So I started reading a little bit of that last night. I was like, okay, I'm into this. This is super interesting. I want to know more. It's got a little bit of a sense of humor already, and I just need to know. I need to know so bad.
Compels me, though.
And the last book that I'm fairly confident I'll definitely be getting to is We Are Bellingcat. This is a nonfiction read that's been on my list for a while, and I started hearing about their organization again now with all of the Ukraine and Russia conflict. So I figured, hey, what's a better time than to pick it up while it's relevant in the news and become a little bit more informed? So I don't know a whole lot about their organization, and that's why I'm planning to read this book in the first place. But it's taglined about like crime and lies and being able to expose those things. I know that they've done some work in the past, I think, where they do, like, where they investigate misinformation and crimes and things that are going on and then make that widely available to the public online, kind of like a Snopes or like Snowden. So definitely looking forward to learning more about this, and it's pretty short. I'm hoping it's not too academically written, so I should be able to get through it. Now for the books that we'll see if I can get to it. If not, these will probably all be April reads.
It would be absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable.
And first up is Black Sun. This is going to be a reread for me. I really liked when I went through it the first time, but there's a lot of details from the middle portion that I don't really remember quite as well. And with the new book coming out, I definitely want to refresh myself. This is like a pre-Columbian Americas, and there's a lot of mythology and lore, and we're following along with some characters, one of which who, if it were told from somebody else's point of view, could honestly be the villain. Like, they have a very villain setup and their goal in life, so like it's very interesting to follow from that viewpoint, and I'm looking forward to going back to this and seeing what I think a second time around. Then there's Homicide and Halo Halo. I already have the audiobook for this, and I'm just waiting for my library to finish processing the physicals and get those out to all the branches. But this is a sequel to Arsenic and Adobo, which is a cozy mystery I really enjoyed last year, and I cannot wait to see what kind of foods the author includes in this one. I think it's going to be a very fun time, and it's really, really short, so as soon as I have it in my hands, I should be able to finish it like that day. And all but 2 on the rest of this list are just thicky boys that are like 500 to 700 pages long, so definitely over ambitious.
Girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
The first one is Engines of Empire. This is a new release that just came out by Orbit. It's kind of a steampunk world, and I don't know a whole lot about it except that it's been getting a huge amount of buzz and everybody's been loving it. And it has one of the ugliest covers that I've seen in recent years. So I'm very excited to get into it and see what I think. Then there's Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and this one honestly is one of the ones that will probably like fall into April a little bit because I have the physical book, but I'm still waiting on the audiobook, and I'm pretty far behind in line, so I probably won't get it for the next like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll be able to read it. I'm also not feeling super in the mood for YA lately, and I know that this one seems to kind of fall away from some of the tropes that I hate. Like, I really don't like YA romance, and this one doesn't mention romance anywhere in the synopsis that I could see, but it is tagged up a little bit with romance by some of the readers on Goodreads, so like, I don't know how this is gonna fall, but I really like the idea of the realm that she's in, that she's going to save her mom, and that she's up against all of these like immortals. So I think it could be really cool. The cover is absolutely stunning, no matter which, if it's like US or UK. It's a really gorgeous edition, and hopefully I'll end up liking it. If I can, I want to get around to Hod King and Fall of Babel, and that'll finish out the Senlin series. I do really want to see what I think of it. I know that especially the last book is very divisive, so I'm kind of holding back any kind of criticisms or thoughts until I finish off the series, and if I do not finish it this month, I'll definitely finish it in April. Then I'm hoping to finish A Betrayal in Winter. This is the second book in the Long Price Quartet. I read the first one last month, and I don't know how much this is a world for me. I didn't really feel any of the fantastical elements, but I know that they're supposed to be very present in this series, so I'm hoping that this second book will get there. I know that this one tends to be a favorite for people in the series, and I just really want to continue on, especially while things are still fresh in my memory. I also have The Liar's Knot. This is the sequel to The Mask of Mirrors, which I read at the end of last year. This is just like a really fun Venetian fantasy world, and I want to continue on. I think that we're going to get a lot more of the plot lines and world building and things that I really wanted from the first book, and I love the cover. I love that it's got the spider on it, so I'm very invested. I'm just also very intimidated by how thick it is, especially with all of the other thick books on my shelf. So no one is waiting behind me in line at the library. I might end up having to renew it and push this over to the next month. Warbreaker is my other big hope out of the Brandon Sanderson books. It's also just so much bigger than I thought it was. Oh my goodness, it's like almost 700 pages long, but I've heard excellent things about it. In fact, I think a lot of people, this might be their favorite Sanderson, and I love the cover. I love the idea of prismatic magic, and everything I've read by Brandon Sanderson so far has been excellent, and I can't imagine this will be any different. And the last one is Bug. I really want to read all of the Philip K. Dick Award finalists before the final decision is released. I think it's coming out at the end of April. I ended up already reading 2 of them last year before they were ever announced as finalists or anything, and I loved one of them. It was one of my favorite books, especially in sci-fi of the year, and the other one I really enjoyed. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go into these sight unseen. And the first other book that I read that was a finalist, I DNF'd so hard. I did not like it. And this one, I'm like, okay, I'm a little nervous now because of that. So I started reading the synopsis, and I'm not sure if it's a book for me, but I still want to give it a try so I can kind of have an opinion on all of the different finalists that are released. And yeah, I will definitely get to it before the end of April. I don't know if I'll end up finishing it or loving it, but it's not that long of a book. It's just also low priority compared to everything else on my list. But those are all of my reading plans for March, and let's be honest, probably a fair bit of April as well. Let me know if you're planning to read any of these books. Are there books that you now want to check out? Which one do you think that I should maybe bump up my TBR because it sounds super interesting? Let me know, comment down below, and I will see you in the next one.
Oh, hi.